guys, it's Emily here, and today I want to do another disability talk. So the movie Me Before You came out this weekend, and I have just been having so many awesome discussions with so many awesome people on BookTube about Me Before You. I will link all of them down below in the doobly-doo, and I'll card them and stuff so you can see all of their videos and their information because they're fantastic and other resources. And I know I've talked about this before, but one of the things I've noticed when I've had this discussion with people is that those who are able-bodied have been saying that they have been hearing different perspectives from different people with disabilities, that they kind of contradict each other or they just sound different because everyone takes things differently. And so I thought something that would be helpful would be for me to talk about a little bit more about my perspective and where I'm coming from when it comes to talking about disabilities in media and representation and all that kind of thing, because I know everyone has a different experience and everyone's going to have a different opinion. So I thought so that when you guys hear me talk about it, at least you have some sort of context about where I'm coming from. So the thing is, I am the only person in my family that has a disability, a genetic disorder. As far as we know, no one else in my family has ever had it before. And so this, when I was born, it was a brand new thing for my family. Like, they just didn't know what to do. And especially for the first year and a half of my life, we didn't even have a diagnosis because osteogenesis imperfecta wasn't really all that well known. And so it took a while for me to even get diagnosed. And thankfully now, there's a lot more resources for people with OI and places to learn and educate yourself. And so I'm still learning and educating myself because most of my life, we were pretty much on our own. The doctor that I had, he was very familiar with OI, but he had about 6 patients that had it. And at the time, that was a lot. But now there's other doctors at the hospitals who will have like hundreds of people with the same condition. And so most of my childhood, we were basically on our own, and we just had my one doctor to really use as a resource, and also my physical therapist and stuff. And so I never have grown up or been around other people with disabilities, because even when I went to school, I went to a small Lutheran elementary school all the way up through 8th grade, and then I went to a public high school, but as far as Chicago public high schools go, it was very small. And then I went to a private Lutheran college. And so even when I went to school, for the most part, I was one of the only, if not the only person with a physical disability. And so I've never been with the disability community very much, let alone people with OI. When I was in junior high, I started going to another hospital that really had a lot of doctors that specialized in my condition more, which was very helpful. And they host OI conventions every year, and so we decided to go once. And I felt so out of place because I had never really been with other people who had the same condition as I did, and everyone already had their own circles of friends, and I was the outsider. And then even the main speaker who was there on the stage, she had a very mild form of the condition, and so she was like average height, and she was talking about how she could go skiing. And so the entire thing left a very bad taste in my mouth because I just felt so left out and that I couldn't really connect with them. Even though we had the physical disability thing in common, I really couldn't find anything else to connect with them with because I wasn't used to being at a place where the purpose was to talk about your disability. And so after that, my family also didn't really enjoy it very much, and so we kind of just gave up on connecting to the disability community. And so because of this, I'm not very politically correct. I don't really know the PC terms. I don't really know how you're supposed to phrase things and such like that. Like, personally for me, I like to be referred to just as a person who happens to have OI. But if you say, oh, the OI girl, honestly, I'm not going to be seriously offended because, well, I do have OI. Like, I can't sit here and deny that. And so my perspective is, if I see that you genuinely care and you really are trying and you're listening and you want to have an open mind and you really want to learn more, I really am not going to care much about the specific verbiage that you use because I can see your heart's in the right place. An example I can think of is one time, maybe like a year ago, maybe a few months ago, I went to a restaurant with my family, and the waiter, he kind of kept on like making short jokes and stuff, and I joked around with him because I could tell that was just how he related to people. My mom, on the other hand, was very offended by his comments and how he behaved, and I had to kind of calm her down and be like, Mom, it's totally fine, like, I get it, it's totally cool. Then on the other hand, a few weeks ago, I was at work, and I sit on a bar stool at work so I could see over the counter, and a guest came up to the desk, and he needed something, and so I jumped off my stool to go get it. And he was taken back by surprise, and he was just like, oh, you're like a mini-me. And that I found really offensive because, yeah, it was just kind of a gut reaction, and maybe if he had thought about it, he wouldn't have said that, but at the same time, I found it very ignorant because it wasn't really him being curious or wanting to know anything. It was just kind of this ignorant, blatant comment. And so I can tell usually the difference between someone who really genuinely cares and is fine and some people who are just really ignorant and don't care. But then also, the thing is, because I haven't really grown up with the disability community, while I definitely identify as someone with a disability, and I've learned more and more about my disability, and I have been reaching out to my community more and trying to learn more about my community and realizing the value and being a part of it. And I'm learning more about representation and how representation should be handled, and I'm continuing to learn, and I'm not an expert by any means, and I make mistakes with it all the time, and I want to learn, and I think it's okay to like gently tell people, hey, like maybe you really should phrase things this way, or maybe you should spin things this way, just so that they can have an understanding. But put it gently, because if someone's intentions are really good, it really is going to do more harm than good to be like, hey, you're wrong, you're a terrible person, because, well, they're not a terrible person, they just made a mistake, so let's help them learn to fix that mistake without being rude. But it's also not the only way I identify myself. There are a million other ways I identify myself as, and so this whole thing of me talking about my disability publicly is very, very new to me, because so many times it's been a non-issue, or it hasn't been how I've seen myself, and so therefore I haven't talked about it much because I'm also a woman. I am a daughter and a sister and a friend and a writer and an artist and a thespian and a reader and a dog lover and all of these other things that define me. And so I talk about them all the time because they're things that are really big in my life too. But I'm also learning it's okay to talk about my disability as well. And so I also ask you guys to be patient with me as I kind of learn how to talk about it and the best way to talk about it. So those are just some thoughts that I've been having lately, and I thought that maybe it might be helpful for somebody else who's kind of trying to figure things out and how to navigate, talk about this community. And I know there's going to be tons of other people who are way more PC than me, and people who know more than I do and have completely different views on how to handle the situation than I do. And so this is just my opinion, and I'm totally open to other people's opinions as well. So there you go. Thank you guys so much for watching. I can't wait to read your thoughts in the comments, and I will see you later. Bye.